sometimes you might be, I guess, bashing your head against it for some hours or even a couple of days sort of thing.
Hmm.
And when you find a solution, when you reach that solution, and it just kind of comes to you either like when you wake up in the morning or when you're in the shower or something like that, and you're just like, aha, like that eureka moment.
Yeah.
That's what I love most about just programming in general, just finding that solution. And of course, you know, you can do it alone, but it certainly helps you have some good friends and colleagues to bounce ideas off of, sort of thing. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, so that's all. It's all been fantastic, amazing sort of stuff. One thing I was going to ask is, what sort of software do you use? Like, do you still use like things like Dreamweaver that was, I know it's still kind of around, but you're still using programs like that. Is there for like a lot of the front end stuff? Are you using, Adobe type software or 3D software or depending on the job? So yeah, can you enlighten us on that a bit more?
Yeah, web dev's a lot more accessible, like more now than ever. I just use a text editor, so there's Visual Studio Code. It has a lot of programmer-friendly features and some cool themes as well. So I use that for working within the code base and yeah, just checking things, writing code, writing tests. And then I just opened the app in Chrome or whichever browser we're targeting or trying to get working for the application. Basically just run the server and refresh the page, and you can see your changes just dynamically appear, or a big red screen with errors if something went wrong. So it's faster than ever too. Like changes are live as you're happening essentially. So yeah, it's certainly changed from I guess from a developer standpoint, we see we get it is what you see is what you get sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I still think they have their place. So for example, I have a WordPress blog, and I don't really do any custom coding on that, or I try and minimize that. I really just want a place where I can write articles and publish them without too much hassle. And so a built-in editor where I don't have to worry about like coding intricacies. I can just like format the text like I would in a Word document. I find that's super helpful for just getting content out there. But if you need a more custom built, robust solution, then you do need to basically look into custom coding solutions, and text editors are just fine for that.
Now, another question I was going to ask you about with browsers. Now, I remember back in the early 2000s, you would have websites where, this is showing my age as well, you would have something running through Netscape and it would look fine. And then you'd put it into Internet Explorer and it was out of whack, or it didn't fit up properly, or it was too small, or you had, suddenly instead of it being perfect, you've got a little scroll bar. When it comes to today's browsers, are they, when you're developing a website, is it similar challenges, or are they very, very similar with, if someone's going through that to check they're using a different one, is it, are they fairly the same?
Yeah, for the most part, they are the same. There are always going to be cross-browser compatibility issues though. So what I've found when working is, like, on rare occasions, something in Chrome will work fine. It'll work fine in Firefox. Maybe in Safari, it has a different display issue. So then it involves looking up, okay, well, here's what I want it to look like. Are there any like particular style issues or something else in Safari that's causing this? Or even things like location settings, like in the other browsers, they're set within the browsers. On Safari, it's actually built into the Mac like security and privacy settings. So if they're turned off, then there's nothing you can do, like with a store locator or something. And then there's older browsers still that companies, they may see like that a bunch of users are still using those browsers, like Internet Explorer. Like, we've moved on to Edge since then. Microsoft has moved on to Microsoft Edge. But there's still a lot of folks out there, and also internally within companies, that are still using like Internet Explorer version 10 or something like that, which has its own like weird behavior and debugging. So, but really, you do want an experience that is good for as many users as possible. So it's really just the trade-off, like it's just a cost of development, basically. If a lot of traffic's coming from an older browser, you need to support it. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it's interesting because people using, especially older systems. When I kind of talk to people about, especially even with technical support, sometimes you might come across people who are still using Windows XP because the reason why they haven't upgraded because everything they're using works, it fits their needs, and that's all they care about. It's like a place I was working even like 6-7 years ago. They were still using Netscape Calendar because they tried to move over to Lotus and everything else, but there was a backlash from older employees who were like, no. And I can still remember, Google coming in to pay us a visit. And, I had representatives from Google in my office and they looked over and they went, you got Netscape Calendar on your desktop? And I went, yeah. And it was like Google were looking at us like, didn't we bury those guys like 20 years ago? So, it's interesting that. The next question I was going to ask is like, mobile technologies, how much do you have to take that into account with, this, you've got people with phones of different sizes, tablets, and, and also people watching them on TV screens at home. So it's far beyond where it used to be, just jumping onto a computer and watching through, just a PC or a Mac browser. You're looking at, all these other devices.
Yeah, there's a lot of different design constraints and all the resolutions you need to handle. The last place I worked at took a mobile first approach. So we would develop the website and, check how it would look. Like Chrome has a function where you can actually pick a simulated resolution of a phone, like a Pixel or an iPhone or something like that, see how it looks and functions. At that place, we did have a designer who would do both the mobile and desktop designs, and if needed, like tablet is kind of the in between of both of them, isn't it? So sometimes you'd be able to have a more desktop style view on the tablet, like if it's in landscape mode, but of course in portrait mode you may have that, you may not. It depends really. So there's usually like a set of breakpoints that we can use in an application. So like at this point, cut off, then start showing the desktop view or something like that. Yeah.
Great. All right. So just changing the subject a bit, kind of your hobbies and interests sort of thing, what movies you've been watching, TV, what are you playing games at the moment? I know that you've had the cosplay bug for many years, you're still doing that sort of thing. So what's been entertaining and, what have you been doing for fun over, not even just recent times, but last few years?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've been doing heaps recently, honestly, like just with all this happening. It's nice to have time at home to catch up with things. I wouldn't otherwise. Of course, I got into your events back when I was a teenager. So of course I've kept up with the gaming since then. But a lot of older games, like I like collecting games almost as much as I like playing them.
Yeah.
Recently it's been Mass Effect 2. Like I've never played that series before, and it's an awesome sci-fi epic that I'd recommend to anyone basically. So game-wise, that's what I've been doing. I'm reading a bit as well. What else? Board games. I'm catching up with some other folks from Tech Games Fest, and we catch up for board games every week. So that's been really nice. It's good that we're able to see people now, basically. So made a huge difference.
So what sort of board games you've been playing?
Well, actually, I've got my laptop stacked on a couple of them right now. So at the top, there's Machikoro, which is basically like it's a card-based game, and it's kind of like Monopoly in that you're building a town, you're earning income, and you're kind of striking deals with other players to build the most landmarks first. And then underneath that, I've got a variant of Code Names, which is basically one player is the code master, and they give the other players clues on which cards to pick, and they may have either names or words on them, or in this case, this is the Simpsons variant, so it has maybe a picture of Bart on a skateboard or something. So it's like, yeah, so it's just kind of like a guessing co-op game with your partner. Yeah, so they've been really fun, really good way to pass the time.
Yeah. So with Mass Effect, you just on Mass Effect 1 at the moment, and have you got number 2 and number 3?
Yeah, I'm playing through the second one at the moment. I'm playing on PS3. Yeah. Yeah, they had the trilogy on sale for a while back.
Yeah.
Like 5 years ago. So I played the first one a few years ago, and now I'm playing the second one. It takes me a very long time to get through these games because they're so big. There's so much to do in them.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the good things at the moment, where you've got the transition into new consoles. That ones that are maybe 2 generations back, there's a lot of titles that you can get really cheap, and there's nothing wrong with them. And it's like, oh well, I'm gonna go get a whole heap of PS3 games or 360 games and go, look, this is a game I might not have normally bought on release, but now I'm going to give it a try. So. There's a lot of people who go, look, they just want to get rid of their old stuff because they just like to just stick with modern. But like people like yourself, myself, like to have, retro sort of things and pick those things up. Like, I think we both share that sort of interest, from everything. Like I've got Atari 2600s and 64s and Sega Mega Drives and all that sort of stuff. And I know you have, you have similar things and going out and looking for those games sort of thing. Like I wouldn't say I'm a completist where I go, I want every game on there, even though sometimes you can fall into that category going, I don't have this one. But
that's right. Yeah.
But it's also comes down to storage. But with some things, it's like, if it's a really good bargain, now it's like, well, I might grab that. In recent years, I was grabbing a lot of System Link games for 360. So if I wanted to have, Gears of War, traditional Halo, Red Dead Redemption, that System Link, and not having to rely on the internet to have that old school LAN that
for sure.
grew up on. So yeah. So what have you been watching? What have you been, like, TV, movie?
Yeah, well, I mean, we just renewed Stan. We're finishing off Seinfeld. I'd never watched it before, even though it was on TV all the time, and it's brilliant. I love it. It's probably one of my favorite sitcoms now. Yeah. Started Freaks and Geeks again just because that was on as well, and it's
That's
like,
It's funny because
it's a good fun.
When you introduce people to Freaks and Geeks, they sit there going, "Hang on, who? All these?
It's all these people, yeah.
It's all these people." Like, yeah. And it's like, at the time when Freaks and Geeks came out, because it was, it's only what was it? Not even, you wouldn't even call it one season really. There's only a select amount of episodes. But I remember at the time going, there was something about the cast that really stood out. And then all of a sudden they started appearing in other things. But even today, when you're watching whatever movie or some TV series, in the back of your mind, they go, there's such and such from Freaks and Geeks. While someone else may think of them as How I Met Your Mother or
That's it,
or the an event or any of those sorts of things. So but that's one of those series that I think it really stands out, and I think also it's a series that has aged well. It's
for sure. It's so relatable.
Yeah, the story, the clothes, they might be okay. Well, that's the clothes from that particular time period, but what they talk about is it could be the 1970s or something. There's a lot of relevance there.
Definitely, yeah. So there's always something good to watch on TV, and if you don't like something, there's 50 million other things to try out. So what else has been going on? Not really much else going on at the moment, but what's going to happen, I'm really excited for. So my gym's reopening, and with that is the BJJ, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu classes.
Oh, right.
Yeah, with all this like being stuck indoors sort of thing, I need to use some of that energy. So
Yeah.
I've been doing that for the last year or so, and it's a really great community, and it's hard work,
Yeah.
but it's a lot of fun, and you get so much out of it. Like, you know, just kind of like confidence on being able to handle yourself or help someone if needed. And yeah, just there's so much to learn in that space. Yeah.
Well, it's great that, that besides, your passion for, web development and all the things you've, achieved with that sort of thing. And, and also all those many years that you used to volunteer at these type of events, made a major impact. And, very level-headed guy when, people like myself or others would be just like falling apart or like, oh my, you're always there with a smile and very laid back. But yeah, it's good that, with your hobbies, playing games, going back, your retro stuff, your board games, and, or your martial arts sort of thing, you've got that balance that, that enables you to do different things. And I think also it makes you interesting as well. But I think for yourself, it just adds that, it just shows that you're living. So as opposed to just I work and that's it, it's great that you're doing that sort of thing. So
it's good to just
So is
you go,
mate. Dylan, before we kind of wrap it up?
I think that's pretty much about it for me. I think you were talking about like, it's good to have a good life balance. It's not all just about work. You got to play as well, but take time to think about and reevaluate what's really important. So like, despite all the stuff that I've had time for now, really, what I love most is being able to just spend time with family and whatnot. So, because I'm probably never going to have this much time again, to be honest. So just make the most of it.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for kind of sharing your knowledge, your thoughts on many areas. And I'm sure a lot of people who are watching this will probably watch this several times. Will find it of interest. I know I've found it very interesting. And I'd like to just thank you for your time. And we hopefully I'll physically see you soon.
Long overdue, Andrew.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks, mate.